everybody, welcome to the shark dissection. We are going to do our external video first, and then I will do an internal where we'll open up and see all the different body systems. So what we have here is a spiny dogfish. There's a huge amount of different type of dogfish species, and dogfish are one of the most abundant sharks in our oceans. They are pretty coastal and they school in really big numbers, so that's the main reason why this type of shark species is the one that is mostly dissected in classrooms. Sharks are in kingdom Animalia because they are animals. They are in phylum Chordata because they have a notochord during their larval developments. They are in subphylum Vertebrata because they are vertebrates, and they are in class Chondrichthyes. The word Chondrichthyes, if you break it down, chond referring to cartilage, and ichthyes or ichthyo is referring to fish. So your main structure of sharks is that they have a cartilaginous skeleton. Three main characteristics of class Chondrichthyes: they have a cartilage skeleton, they do not have a swim bladder, and they have very oily livers, which helps them with their buoyancy, which we'll get into once we get inside. All right, let's start off with our fin locations. This first fin right here is the most common that you guys know. These are your two dorsal fins. Not all shark species have two dorsal fins, some only have one. Some shark species have two of the same size dorsal fins. Some have one larger one right here. This is considered your first or your anterior dorsal fin. And then this right here is your posterior dorsal fin. Anterior, so the head region is anterior, tail is posterior. Anterior to each dorsal fin used to be this spine. There's a spine right here, hence why it was called the spiny dogfish. And then there also was a spine anterior to this second dorsal fin. They have removed the spines just to protect us a little bit more. Dorsal fins are used to prevent the shark from rolling over, so it's more of a stability type of thing. The next one right here on the posterior end is your caudal fin. If you notice, the caudal fin has an upper lobe right here and a lower lobe, so dorsal lobe and ventral lobe. You should definitely notice there is a big size difference between the dorsal lobe and the ventral lobe. The dorsal lobe is much larger, so the prefix for difference, meaning hetero. This tail is called a heterocircle caudal fin. So the word heterocircle refers to the size difference between the dorsal and the ventral lobe. Some shark species, like the really fast shark species and really fast fish species, have a homocircle tail. Homocircle, or homo meaning the same, meaning that they would have the same size on dorsal and ventral. The purpose of this heterocircle caudal fin is obviously for forward propulsion, but also because this dorsal lobe is larger, there's more surface area pushing the shark forward, but also downward. We'll get to that, the whole downward, and what kind of balances this heterocircle tail. So that is a heterocircle caudal fin. On the ventral side of the shark, this is the pelvic fin, okay? Pelvic fins are smaller. They are mostly for stabilization as well. And in between the pelvic fin, if it was a male, it would have had claspers. So this does not have claspers, or two finger-like projections that are right here. So this shark is a female. Then you also have two pectoral fins. Okay, two pectoral fins are kind of folded because that was how they were in the bag. These are acting like airplane wings, okay? These are providing upward thrust, okay? So we had our caudal fin, because it was heterocircle, producing a downward thrust, and your pectoral fins for all sharks provide lift, or provide an upward thrust, okay? This is providing lift, but is also yet another stabilization and kind of helps with turning. So those are your main fins for the shark. Also external, you should notice this is an open ocean species, and you should notice that the dorsal side of the shark, even though it has the spots, is much darker than the ventral side, which is a lighter color. This is your counter shading, and it is helping with camouflage in the open ocean since there's really not much places for it to hide. These dots are indicative of a juvenile dogfish. So this one is a juvenile. It's probably not sexually mature. We will see how sexually immature it is once we open it up to see where the ovaries and the uterus actually are. All right, also what you can notice is the shape of the shark. Sharks are all very, very streamlined. Fish and sharks have different terminology. For a streamlined body plan, it is called fusiform. And a fusiform body plan is nicely tapered. This is called the rostrum. It is a tapered rostrum, and it really allows a nice efficiency to slip through the water. This nose piece right here, how it's tapered rostrum, also provides a little bit of lift. So between the tapered rostrum and the pectoral fins, you have two upward thrust locations that will offset the heterocircle caudal fins downward thrust. Also in sharks, what they are very well known for are their scales. They have what we call dermal denticles. If you think dermal meaning skin, and denticle like dentist are your teeth. So literally dermal denticle means skin teeth. You can't really see it here because they are ridiculously small, but for the more scientific term of the scales, it is called a placoid scale. These placoid scales or dermal denticles are going to have yet another way to make the shark a little more efficient swimming through the water. They'll actually trap a very thin layer of water around the body of the shark. So when you have water slipping through water, it very drastically decreases the friction that the shark has through the water. Sharks are absolutely amazing. They are perfectly built to become as energy efficient as possible because they are migrating in long areas that we're learning about. So why not be energy efficient? Let's look at the head region. So we can have lots and lots of sensory structures right here. Okay. So first off, you have the eyes, okay? Some sharks have a third eyelid, what we call a nictitating membrane. The dogfish does not have a nictitating membrane. The eyes are one of the more vulnerable portions of the shark. So it needs its way, when it's going to get a predator, it needs its way to protect its eyes. If it does not have a nictitating membrane, this eyelid will usually roll back in place to protect it. On the other side, this side of the eyelid, see where it's a little bit whiter? It's more of like a thicker eye layer, if you will, and then it will roll right back after it bites its prey. They do have a lens inside just like we do, so if we remove the eye, you would feel a hard ball marble-like structure just like you did on the squid, just like we have in human eyes and cow eyes and all sorts of stuff. So their eyes, very good at seeing, but it is not one of their best senses. They don't see nearly as well as they smell or use their other senses. They have nares. If we flip it over to the ventral side, this is one of their best senses. Here is one nare and here is two nares. Nares or nostrils are used for sense of smell. So we've all heard the story that the sharks can smell one drop of blood in 1,000 parts of water, and this is very much true. It's actually more than that. Their nostrils are a closed circuit. They are not like our nostrils. They do not connect to a sinus cavity or anything like that. Their nostrils or their nares are not connected to their taste. What you have is you have an in-current pore, and it's a blind pouch, and there's an excurrent pore right there. So water goes in the in-current pore, comes right out the excurrent pore. The reason why they have two is the same reason why we have two. We can figure out which side of the body the smell is stronger. So when they are swimming, they are kind of doing like this through the water. Okay, by doing this, they're really smelling which side, the left or the right side of the body. They are smelling the urine or the blood or any other type of bodily fluids that's coming out in the ocean. So nares or nostrils are used for your smelling. Also, it's pretty cool and not found on all sharks are things called spiracles. Can't really see, but there's a hole right here behind the eye. There's one spiracle, and here is the second spiracle right here. These are used for respiration. So most sharks have to swim with their mouths open. That's something called ram ventilation. And ram ventilation, literally the water is ramming its way into the mouth and coming out the gill slits. Here are your 5 gill slits right here. Okay, they're kind of just bunched a little bit. There you go. So most sharks, or yeah, almost all sharks have to swim with their mouths open, or they have to swim or else they will not get their oxygen. But some shark species and all stingrays and skates that live on the bottom have these spiracles. The whole entire point of spiracles is for them to allow them to breathe with their mouths open. So the water will get drawn in through the spiracle and it will pass over all of the gills, and then the water will come out. So it's a nice second option for them to actually breathe. Also, that they have on their top of their head, and it is ridiculously small, so let me get a little closer. It looks like 2 little pinholes. One is right there, if you can see it, and the other hole is right there. These 2 little pores, these 2 little holes, are called endolymphatic pores. The whole entire point of the endolymphatic pore is to help them with their hearing. It's not really a good idea in the ocean if you're trying to be streamlined. It's not a good idea to have earlobes. It would definitely slow you down. So these are the openings to the inner ear. You've probably guessed that hearing is not exactly a strong sense for the sharks, and you are correct. So yes, they can hear, but it's not nearly as good as what we can hear out there. So endolymphatic pore is the opening to your inner ear. On the side, another sense that we all know about with sharks is their lateral line. You cannot actually see a distinct line like a snook has, but there is a line of pores extending from the head and going all the way down the side of the body. And these pores are connected to the nervous system. There is a gelatinous goo on the inside of them that has a neuron coming into it. And this lateral line is picking up two different things. It is picking up vibrations through the water, and it is also picking up pressure changes. So if you are a struggling fish, you are probably twitching or floundering or flapping or something, and you are sending off a lot of vibrations through the water, and the shark is able to pick those up. Sharks also have the uncanny ability to dive deeper if a weather pressure system's coming through, a low pressure system like a hurricane or a stronger storm, because this lateral line system is able to pick up the difference, the drop in pressure in the water, and they will actually go to deeper waters so they can live out the storm and then come back up when the waves are a little bit less. Okay, so that is the lateral line system. The lateral line system also includes something called the ampullae of Lorenzini, and it is best seen on the underside, the ventral side of the snout. The ampullae of Lorenzini, if you look at all these black dots right here, those are the exact same thing. They have their pores, they have a gelatinous mass with a nerve cell embedded into it, goes straight to the brain. The ampullae of Lorenzini are in charge of picking up electrical pulses. Every living organism gives off electrical pulses. Our Earth gives off electrical pulses in the form of its magnetic fields. These things are what is picking up on heartbeats. So once again, if you are a struggling fish and you are dying or you are ill, you are twitching and sending off strange vibrations. Your heartbeat is also a little bit more erratic or faster, and the ampullae of Lorenzini will actually pick that up. That's why when they say if you are ever in the water and you see a shark, stay calm. Do not go crazy. Do not splash around. Your splashing is going to allow them to pick you up from the lateral line system. Your heart rate is going to be elevated and a little bit crazy, and your ampullae of Lorenzini will pick it up. So I know it's hard to say, stay calm if you see a shark in the water, but chill. Enjoy the beauty of the shark. These are magnificent animals. They've been around for 400 million years, and they are great. And last thing, their teeth. The one thing that we are all very much afraid of. Their teeth is a conveyor belt. If one falls out, one comes in. So if one is cracked or one is loose, it'll just fall out. They're not like our teeth, which are very deeply embedded, but they are a little bit more flexible. So these guys have very, very small teeth. These are mostly eating your crustaceans, your krill, let's see what else, some jellyfish, really small fish, crabs, squid. So they don't need huge chomping, crushing teeth. All right. So here is your external for your spiny dogfish, Squalus acanthias. Hope you guys enjoy. See you for your internal. Bye.